on. Mrs. Anwar, tell us something about the SOS Village. Do you, firstly, typically how old are the children when they come to you? Can you just speak into the...
Can you hear me? Yes? We admit children from 0, newborn, to preferably 10 years old. We try to take them below that age, and but when they come in families and there may be 1 or 2 children above this age, we do take them. But it's difficult to have them adjust after that.
So children who are over, say, 3 months and above, and I do understand that you have proper schools at the villages, do you believe that play helps in the rehabilitation of these children?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I think play is extremely important for all children, for the development of every child. And we are all aware of what happens when a child is deprived of human contact and interaction with people. And there are these horror stories like the children from the Romanian orphanages who did not have this contact. And then you hear bizarre stories of a child who was found in a forest and had grown up with animals and what it does to them. So obviously play is extremely important. We have this extreme, and at the other end of the scale we have children who have all the facilities of a normal upbringing, and also this learning to play is a wonderful concept because they are provided material and equipment and taught how to develop the different skills that they need. And there are so many skills that are involved, which you are all aware of. They need motor skills, they need language skills, they need to reason, they need to... Social skills are very important for the children to play together. And fortunately in our projects, this is not a problem because we have the children who are together and they have a company and they do interact with each other very well.
Also, there is a misconception, and I think partly it's the adults who put so much emphasis on academics as opposed to play. Are your teachers, and do you encourage them to just let the academics be on the back foot until at least the child is 5 years of age? Before that, do you have playground equipment? Do you have everything? And are the teachers trained to encourage play?
Yes, we certainly encourage play. And I feel this is generally a mistake perhaps that we make in Pakistan, that we push our small children too hard. Under the age of 5, they are being prepared for examinations and prepared for entrance tests to school. And I personally feel that is very wrong, because the child is under stress and under pressure, and somehow the system has come about that a very small child is expected to be learning and giving exams, and really that is not the age to do it.
I'm so glad. I agree with you, by the way, on that. Okay, thank you so much. Again, we'll come back to questions to you. Mr. Ford, lots of questions for you as well, as you are the director of the franchise for the international franchise. Please, firstly, Gymboree is supposed to be for children between the ages of 0 to 5. What can we expect 0 to say 3-month-old to really learn at a Gymboree?
Well, you've got to remember that our programs are parent interactive. The first educator, the most important educator, is the parent. And what that time teaches us is lots of elements. Some of them are very tangible, like learning capacity of child, bonding, but some of it is very much what's the temperament of the child.
Sorry, Mr. Ford, can you... Our children are hard at play over there. We can't hear you in the back.
You're never going to get a complaint from me when children are hard at play.
Okay, good. Can you just a little bit into the mic so everybody can hear you?
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry. Yeah, what I was saying is that in the early stages, the child may not be mobile, but the best educator and those bonding moments that the parent spends totally focused on the child. And it's very intimate and it's very close quarters. And you'll see that the facilitators of what we call level 1, They're what we call nurturers. And what we're trying to get, and what we're beginning to build, is that critical relationship of trust. That the child feels able to take those first risks. And that risk may be just like issues of permanence. It can be that simple. But what you're doing is creating that safe bond, that safe area for that child to feel, they know I'm experimenting and learning. I see other babies. They're observant. Even though we're not necessarily cognizant of the fact that they're doing that, they're watching and they're learning all the time.
So in the 0 to 3 age, Gymboree, regardless and throughout, but especially the 0 to 3 age, it's also, the parents are learning a lot in the process then.
Exactly. I'll comment on this from the US perspective particularly, just because it's bizarre that this is the first generation of parents where the first child they spend a substantial amount of time is their own. They're often corporate moms. This is their first baby. They've read every book, every expert, every talk show, and they get their own baby, and baby doesn't follow script. And they've got to learn these things. You know, learning to handle a child with different temperaments. Some children are very vocal. Some are very much the observer. How do I deal with those things? Those aha moments. And children learn by repetition and by pattern. That's important. I just want to tell a little story. It's a little bit off course, but it just, to me, is the power of Gymboree. I was training recently in a site. It was closed to the public. And there was this loud banging on the door, very loud, urgent banging. So I went to the door, and standing outside this site, in the middle of the US, is this young Chinese mom with her child. Not a word of English, but the child is holding a membership card, Gymboree. Gymboree. And the only word she could say is play. I want to play. That's the power of Gymboree. That's the power of play. That child was learning, didn't even realize it was learning, was just glorying in the experience of playing with his parent. It's so important.
Just a follow-up question to something you said before about corporate moms and, you know, in the States and in the West, the child being the first time that parents interact with children. Now, the Pakistani culture is very different. We have a family, you know, we live in joint families perhaps. We have support from our parents. Plus, we are around children pretty much all the time when you're in that atmosphere. How do you feel that Gymboree coming from the States, how is that going to fit in to our culture, where now it's suddenly just the mom and the child? What are your thoughts? I'm sure when you were coming across, you were perhaps thinking of this. Can you just touch upon that for?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, when we go to different cultures, there are often minor adaptations that we make. In a lot of cultures, for example, a lot of moms may have help. And a lot of the time, the mom may be second-hand experiencing with the child. The child's there, but with the depth of engagement. What Gymboree does is for 45 minutes or an hour, you know, each week or several times a week, it just focuses that parent exclusively on the experience of that child. And even though you've been around lots of children, I mean, I have 3 of them, each one is different. And the way that I talk to them, and the way I relate to them, and the way we bond is different child to child. So what we're doing in that moment of time is teaching mom, as much as we're teaching the child, what it is that child needs. Some need support, some need guidance, some need confidence, some need a little bit of paternity. But that's what the parent gets from that. It's just purely focused on that child. Even though you may have the broader communal experience, that moment of focus is just so important.
So it's one-on-one quality time with the child. You could spend 8 hours with the child, but it wouldn't be the same as that 1 hour that you're just focused and then your child is focused on you.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes.
And yeah, the way the lesson plans work is that there's usually some learning element within that program. So as you repeat that program through 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the schedule, what you're trying to do is getting the child to realize that learning through its own exploration. And to watch it, I said, that aha moment when mom sees it happen, that's what makes me go out of bed in the morning. It's just extraordinary to see.
Lovely.